welcome to Live Your Bliss Today. This is Kenyette Kilpatrick, and today we have special guest Karen Curry Parker on the call with us. Karen Curry Parker is a #1 best-selling author, human design specialist, trainer, and professional speaker. She has been a high-performance life and business coach for more than 20 years and has coached over 6,000 people. Karen, along with her husband, is the founder of Sustainability 2027, a nonprofit business incubator dedicated to supporting green craftspeople, entrepreneurs, and small home-based businesses. Karen's work has been featured on Bloomberg Businessweek, CBS, Fox News, ABC, and various radio shows and telesummits. Karen's books include Understanding Human Design, The New Science of Astrology, Discover Who You Really Are, Inside the Body of God, 13 Strategies for Thriving in a New World, and No Mistakes, How Can You Change Adversity into Abundance? In today's discussion, Human Design, the Science of Discovering Who You Really Are, we will be discussing how human design helps you discover your life's purpose, learn how to use your energy correctly, and always feel vibrant and alive, master your emotional energy, find your unique work and money blueprint, figure out why you feel stuck, and how to release blocks by living a strategy that is correct for you. Please join me in welcoming to the call Karen Curry Parker. Hi, Karen.
Hi, thank you. I'm
Absolutely.
really excited to be here and to share human design with everyone.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. And Karen, perhaps we can start by letting our audience know how you came to work in human design and energy psychology.
Oh, that's a really, really long story, so I'll just do the cut to the chase version.
Okay, that sounds great.
About 16, almost 17 years ago, I was a suburban housewife. I had 4 kids and was living just the regular old suburban life, and my husband at the time kind of had a spiritual crisis, and so he took off to Sedona, Arizona for a week to just kind of chill. And he came back with this really weird triangular geometric bizarro chart. And he said, I got my chart done while I was in Sedona. This is human design. And I looked at the chart, and it just hit me in my heart. I don't even know how to explain it, but I saw that chart, and I just started to cry. It was like that chart was my destiny, or it was somehow I knew that chart, and it was in me. So we put the house on the market. We 6 weeks later had sold the house, packed up the kids, moved to Sedona, which was at the time the headquarters for human design. Mm-hmm. When we got to Sedona, my youngest son was sick with an ear infection, so I went to the pediatrician's office. As I came out of the pediatrician's office with my kiddo on my hip, across the hall was a door with the human design chart on it, and I thought, well, I'm just going to go in that door. So I walked through the door, and as I walked through the door, there was a beautiful lady sitting behind the desk, and she said, oh, did you come for the job? And I said, yeah. And so she hired me on the spot, and I got to work for Human Design America, and as part of my payment, they paid for my training, and I got to study with the founder of the system, and the rest, as they say, is history. I've been in love with human design ever since, and have been teaching it and writing about it and sharing it since that time. So it was very kind of bizarre and serendipitous and magical for me personally, especially because I wasn't used to having those kinds of magical experiences at that point in my life, and certainly became the doorway to a lot of really beautiful magic in my life personally.
That is such a cool story. Well, what exactly is human design?
Human design is a synthesis of Eastern and Western astrology, the Chinese I Ching, the chakra system, Kabbalah, and quantum physics. Basically, it works just like traditional astrology in that you take your birth information, birthday, birth time, birthplace, plug it into a computer program, thank God, because when I first learned human design, we were still doing it by hand. And basically, the computer program spits out this funky-looking chart that's looks like a big triangle with all kinds of shapes and lines in it. And that map that triangle, that shape, is a map, and it's basically a map that shows us how you're hardwired. It's not like any of these other esoteric tools in that it's not a predictive tool. I don't look at a chart and I go, oh, next April, make sure you take good care of your dog. It's not like that.
Okay.
It's really a map that shows us how do you process energy? Where are you sensitive to other people's energies? What energy are you here to put out into the world? How can you best use your energy so that life doesn't burn you out? How can you make the right decisions for yourself so that you take yourself in the direction that's in alignment with your life purpose? It shows us your life purpose. It shows us your strengths. It shows us your potential vulnerabilities and what you need to do to bring out the highest expression of who you are and ultimately fulfill your destiny in an abundant and joyful way.
Well, this sounds like what everyone needs.
I'm a little biased, but I think, yeah, I agree.
Well, what can human design do for people?
Well, I would say, I could get super complex with this, and, this is certainly a long-running inner dialogue that I have all the time in my head. So I can make it very, very complex. I'm going to do my best to keep it as simple as possible.
Okay.
But basically it kind of goes like this. And as I have this conversation, we have to all just have certain metaphysical agreements that and if none of this relates to, if anybody listening doesn't resonate with this, just kind of smile and keep going. But
okay.
in the way that I understand the quantum field and the way that I understand the way in which life manifests and consciousness manifests on the planet, basically when we agree to come to Earth, however that agreement happens, and I don't know, I'll send you a memo later when I cross over, but basically when we agree to come to the planet, there are certain agreements that we all sort of hold in unison. We have agreements about things like the sky is blue. We all agree that the sky is blue, so when we come here, we live on a planet where the sky is blue. We have agreements about, we tend to, most of us, walk upright in our feet. We need food to eat. We need air to breathe. These are basic general agreements. We also have, in the realm of possibilities of what's available to us as humans, we have a selection of personality possibilities. And when we come into a physical body, we also come into an energy body, and that energy body contains within it the blueprint for your personality. Now, here's where I want to really put a little caveat here. That blueprint for your personality isn't completely set in stone, meaning, you're not going to be a bad person because you were born bad, or you're not going to be a good person even because you were born good. Your personality is a structural framework that has a lot of variability in it, and it has a lot of themes built into it. Or sometimes you might have heard people use the phrase archetypes. There are archetypes built into your personality. Mm-hmm. Those archetypes allow us, with consciousness and awareness and with evolution and all the responses that we have to the things that happen to us over the course of our lives, those archetypes give us a possibility and ultimately a framework for us to begin to choose the highest expression of those possibilities over the course of our life journey. So you're born with a personality. It's a loose structural framework. You, based on the choices that you make in your life, can live out the highest possible expression or fulfill your potential in this lifetime for what you came here to do and who you came here to be. Or, based on your choices, you can not fulfill your potential. You can end up in a situation where you struggle and you suffer and you maybe aren't able to tap into the full potential of who you really are. Mm-hmm. Human design not only gives you a map for who you are, it shows you what archetypes are you playing with in this lifetime, what are the possibilities for your life and the possibilities for the expression of your potential. It actually gives you, and everyone's different, so it depends on each unique chart, it actually gives you a very solid, specific, concrete way to make good choices in your life, choices that ultimately, with the awareness that you get from understanding your human design chart, choices that will take you in a direction in your life that allow you to fulfill your full potential, to actually bring out with great deliberation and consciousness the highest expression of who you really are. it's really, I'm going to, can I digress for just a minute and get kind of weird and
Sure.
woo-woo here for a minute?
Sure.
I think that we're in a really powerful and important place on the planet right now. I think that globally we have some very important challenges facing us. And I'll say, I'll list a couple of them. My intention here is not to get all doom and gloom, because I actually really don't think it's doom and gloom. I think it's a time that is filled with an incredible potential for us to come together as people on the planet and really create something amazing. And I really do believe that ultimately this is what we're on the precipice of doing. But certainly I would say part of what's happening on the planet is we're in the middle of a shift. People say this all the time, right? The shift. I don't know if you've heard that expression, but we're shifting, right?
Yes.
When you open up CNN news, your news page or your news feed, if you do that, and I know some people don't, and sometimes I think it's probably a better idea to not look, but if you have the courage to look at it, you'll see that there's some really tragic choices people are making on the planet right now. Yeah. And those tragic choices are ultimately kind of the sum total of what's going on collectively on the planet. There's still a majority of people on the planet that still buy into the mythology of there's not enough on the planet. I actually think if you look at the science of it, and certainly if you look at the consciousness of it, and certainly if you look at spiritual belief systems, there is really enough on the planet. It's just a matter of knowing how to distribute it correctly and make a different set of choices. But right now the planet is manifesting in a lot of places the consciousness of not enough. Anytime any of us carry a piece of not enough in our own energy field, and I would say, over the course of the last 16 years, and certainly I would say I've been a life coach for 25 years. I've been doing human design for 16 years. Mm-hmm. In my experience in working with people, either as a coach or as a human design specialist, I would say 99.9% of the people that I meet on this planet struggle someplace in their own inner awareness of themselves with the idea that they're not enough. They're not enough of a mother, they're not enough of a parent, they're not enough of a breadwinner, they're not enough to justify valuing themselves enough to set good boundaries. They're not, it's a prevalent theme in our consciousness. Mm-hmm. Anytime we carry a piece of that within us, we're adding to the piece of the whole idea of not enough on the planet. So, what can human design do for you? This is a long answer to your question, right? What can human design do for you? Certainly, in your personal life, it can align you with your potential and give you a very actionable third-dimensional strategy to begin to make concrete, solid, good decisions in your life that take you to the place that allow you to fulfill your life purpose, to fulfill your destiny, and to activate abundance in your life in every area of your life, whether it's health, wellness, relationships, money, whatever. On a very different level, what it also does is it helps you fall in love with yourself, so that you begin to see the beauty and the power and the magnificence of who you really are. And in doing so, knock that whole I'm not enough stuff out of the ballpark and out of your energy field forever, hopefully, so that what you end up adding to the global consciousness of the planet is not enough, but the idea that you are beautifully and perfectly designed, as are your divine siblings on this planet, and that as such we are in a place where we deserve, because of our divine heritage of abundance and beauty, which is, what we see in the chart is we're actually designed to be abundant and beautiful, that when we can align with that with great awareness and we add to that whole energy on the planet, and hopefully, is my goal anyway, hopefully as we each individually begin to add to that place of beauty and abundance on the planet with our awareness, we begin to shift that whole energy on a collective level for the whole planet, and we begin to move the whole planet into a place of beauty and abundance.
Wonderful. I love that. You're right. So many people and I don't think that they are aware that they act in a way that makes them think they're unworthy or that they don't deserve or they're not as good. And that's one of the intentions of this Telesummit, is to allow people, even if they might think that they believe this, but subconsciously they don't, or they're acting in a different way that makes you think that they don't, they are worthy, and they do deserve to live a blissful life. And so I'm so happy that you mentioned that. Well, Karen, can you tell us what makes human design so different from maybe another program that might do this, something similar, or even astrology? What makes human design different?
Well, I think what makes it different is, all of these other tools are very powerful, and I really want to make sure, I always want to make sure I say this in a way that's really open and expansive, because I'm not personally comfortable saying, oh, this is it, this is the one thing, because I don't think there is a one thing. I think people will come to awareness of their beauty and their value in a bajillion different ways, whether it's through going to church, whether it's through meditating in an ashram for 20 years, whether it's through Enneagram. Sometimes it just happens by accident. Your dog teaches you how beautiful you are, So, I'm not going to say this is the one way. I will say, however, that I think this is a very powerful way, and I think what makes this particular system different is that, as I said, it's not just going to tell you who you are. It's not just going to tell you what you're here to do. It actually shows you how to make that happen. It gives you a very solid strategy to say, okay, this is who I am. This is my best way for making decisions. This is my way of working in the world. This is my way of being in the world. This is how I sense with my own inner guidance what's right for me. Is it right for me to take this job or be in this relationship or eat this food? If you think about your life, how much of your life is on an hourly basis? How many decisions are you making about your life in an hour, right? Mm-hmm. And for most of us, we're not really trained how to tune into what's right for me and what works for me. The thing that human design has shown me personally, and hopefully this is really important to your listeners, is, over the last 16 years, as you said, I've actually coached over 7,000 people, and we've run through our business, we've run over 30,000 charts. Except for twins, which will apply to you, very rarely. Except for twins, every chart is different.
Okay.
And your twins, you guys have the same chart, except if we go down to the moment of the second when you were born, because we can calculate a chart based on the second you were born, we'll see on some very deep, subtle levels there'll be differences. but your general chart's going to be the same. But when we look at the fact that there's all these different people on the planet, right? Mm-hmm. There's 7 billion plus humans on the planet, and you think each one of them is different and unique, right? Mm-hmm. How can we have any kind of strategy, one-size-fits-all sort of decision-making strategy that works for each and every one of us? We can't. What makes me successful, if you did it my way, might not work for you. What I eat and what I feel is correct for my body might not be right for you. The way that I exercise might be very different than the way that you exercise. The kinds of relationships that I'm drawn to might be different than the kind that you're drawn to. We are all incredibly unique. As I said, though, we're all incredibly beautifully and perfectly designed for abundance, but the way in which we activate that in our lives is going to be unique to each and every one of us. And we do not learn from the time of our birth. We do not learn how to tune into and really touch that inner place of wisdom that we have about our own selves and what's right for us. And, the power of what I see with human design is it really gives people that place to connect more deeply into who they are and, most importantly, what's right for them, so that they can begin to feel into, okay, how do I get to where I really long and desire and need to be for the fulfillment of who I am in this lifetime? How does that feel? How do I make the set of choices that I need to make to take me there in the way that's right for me? And when we look at other modalities, I would say there are some amazing modalities out there,
Mm-hmm.
amazing pieces of information that can help you really get clear about who are you and what are you here to do. What human design does is it shows you how to do it, and that's, I think, what sets it apart from a lot of other different sciences. Or I'm not even going to say sets it apart, because I don't even like that, because I think anytime we start to other things, then we start to create competition, and this is not a competitive thing. I think this is a complementary piece of information, and you can really take whatever else you know from any other modality and add it to human design, or add human design to it, to give it that extra oomph of, okay, I'm this on the Enneagram, or I'm this on the Myers-Briggs, and this human design information shows me what I need to do to make decisions that help me bring out who I am in Myers-Briggs, or what I am in the Enneagram, or whatever.
Okay, wonderful. I like that they work together like that. And for the listening audience who caught what Karen said, I actually didn't mention this before, but I have a twin sister, and we work really closely together, and we always have. And we're just really close as people, I guess you could say could be. And so I'm very interested always in discussions about twins, and you mentioning how they have this kind of similar human design type of life that is based. And is it something that where you're working together a lot, or could it be just you just have similar paths?
With twins?
Uh-huh.
It's going to vary, because, I would say certainly there are, depending on what's in each individual chart, or in the twins charts, there are some people who by design are very mission driven. They're like born with this awareness, like, I'm here on a purpose and I have this mission. And if you and your twin have this mission thing going, and that's part of the element of your chart, you might find that you guys do really well together on that mission piece. There are other twins that have charts or human designs where they are born and they are deeply individual by design. So where they may love each other tremendously, they may not have a destiny that's intertwined, so to speak, because they're kind of designed to go off and do their own thing and be their own person. So a lot of it's just going to depend on the actual chart that you're born into, which, again, I think speaks beautifully to the whole idea that we really can't have paradigms about anything. Even twins. I think people have a lot of assumptions. Let's use twins as an example. They have a lot of assumptions about, twins are close and they like the same things and they like to dress the same and and yet, if we look at human design and twins, that may be true of some twins. I mean, and kind of crazy, scary true of some twins. I mean, if you look at some of the twin studies, some twins grow up separately and they come back together and meet each other, and they're wearing the same outfit, right? And there are other twins who don't have that as their truth, and that's not part of their energy field in this lifetime. And that doesn't make them dysfunctional or unloving or anything. It's just they are a different kind of twin. Just like, there are some people who, are deeply nurturing and loving and caring and love to cook and kiss boo-boos, and that's the nature of their energy. And there are some people who are crazy creative artists who like to go off into the wilderness and paint naked on canvases under the full moon and don't give a hooey about anybody else because they are so focused on their own creativity. And neither one of those two is wrong. They're just different ways of being human, and both beautiful.
Well, Karen, my next question was about the types, because you've mentioned that quite a few times. What are the types, and are there a number of types?
Absolutely. In the human design system, as I said, each chart is pretty unique and pretty individual. So certainly to generalize a chart is a little bit tricky, because you don't want to rule out the fact that even if you have a similar type to somebody else, it doesn't mean that you're like them. It just means there's an aspect of your personality that works this way similarly. But in human design, there are 5 different energy types. This is the core foundational piece of the human design information. Each one of those types has a different decision-making strategy, a different working strategy, and a little bit of a different general life purpose.
Okay.
Sorry, I have an amazing dog. He is a big 100-pound dog, and he's huge and he's old. So now anytime he always sits at my feet, and when he moves, he groans like an old man. So I don't know if you can hear that, but
I can hear him a little bit, but it's perfectly fine.
So the 5 types, as I said, each 5 type has a little bit of a different story. So would you like me to share the story of the 5 types?
Please. Thank you.
So the first type in human design is called the manifestor. Manifestors are approximately 8% of the population, so they're not that common. The most important thing to realize if you're a manifestor type is that you are not here to work, at least not here to work in the traditional way that we think of as working. And actually there are a couple different energy types that are not here to work in the traditional way that we think of as working. So for a manifestor type, the Monday through Friday 9 to 5 grind is not going to work. You can fake your way through it. You can usually fake your way through it till you're about 45 or 50, but at a certain point, your energy just does not sustain you in that working model. You are designed to get in, start something, get it going, and get out, or to work in such a way that there's a passive aspect to your income.
Okay.
So sustainability is a big challenge for the manifestor. The manifestor has a life purpose of initiating others. If you're the manifestor, you're kind of like the billiard ball on the table or the pool stick. You're the one that kind of kicks people, gives people ideas, thoughts, inspirations, gets them going, but it's not your job to then help them get everything set up and running and do the nanny day-to-day scut work of actually building a business. You're here to get it started and get out, or you're here to give an idea and then get out. You're an initiating force. When you are a manifestor, what makes you so beautifully unique is that you are, of all the kinds of people on the planet, the only kind of person who's actually not designed to wait for anything. And what you'll hear when I talk about the story of the other types is that everybody else is designed to wait to a certain degree. As a manifestor, the only thing you are here to do is to obey your own creative flow. So for you for the manifestor types, you have this internal, nonverbal, and really important to note, it's a nonverbal creative flow. So when a manifestor is like moving through a room, in their head they're going da-dum, 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 da-dum. They're making like internal energy sounds, okay? And I don't know what they sound like because I'm not a manifestor, but I'm guessing, okay? So they're making these sort of internal flowy sounds or this pure movement of doing as they go through the room. And they're not thinking, oh, I'm going to pick up this book and I'm going to put it over here because tomorrow when I get up I'm going to make sure that I sit down here first and work on this and then I'm going to move this over here. There's this nonverbal creative flow. And they're in that flow. They're doing that flow. And what happens is a lot of times because manifestors carry this very powerful energy, we are looking to the manifestor. We want them to initiate it, right? We're looking at this manifestor, and our first impulse when we see a manifestor moving through the room is to go, oh, what can I do for you, or what are you doing, or can I help you? And we ask them questions, or we try to run in and help them. And what happens then is they can oftentimes respond to us in an angry kind of a way. They try not to, but they're irritated with us. Why did you stop me and ask me a question? Because the minute we ask a manifestor a question, especially when they're in the midst of this creative flow, they have to stop the creative flow, turn around, look at tune into whoever's asking the question, try to find the language to answer the question, right? Mm-hmm. And ultimately in that process, they oftentimes lose their creative flow. So manifestors tend to go through life trying not to tell people what they're doing because they don't want to deal with other people coming in and interfering with their creative flow. It's not that they're intentionally or deliberately sneaky or that they're trying to just do what they want to do and not pay attention to other people. It's that they have this inner creative flow that has to be obeyed because they create in life by following that flow. And if that flow gets interrupted, it's it can make them angry or at least feel angry or irritated. Okay. So when we have a manifestor, the manifestor decision-making strategy is to A, follow the creative flow, B, look at who's going to be impacted by the creative flow. And this is not a natural thing for a manifestor to do, but it saves them a whole lot of time in the long run. Look at who in my life is going to be impacted by whatever it is I'm about to do. Tell those people, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Not ask them. Don't ask for permission. If you're a manifestor, you don't need to ask for permission from anybody. But tell the people you're going to do what you're going to do. If they try to stop you or help you, just say, nope, I'm fine, and then go do what you came here to do. Because in the process of doing it, you take your place in the divine order of things, and you allow people to then respond to what you're creating and do what they're here to do. So that's the manifestor type. The second two types, I'm going to lump them in one category, although they're a little bit different, and I'll explain the differences to you in just a second. The second two types are called the generator types. They are manifesting generators and generators. They are approximately 35% of the population. So this is by far they're 70% of the population. Sorry, I knew I did the math wrong. I hadn't had enough coffee yet. So they are by far the vast majority of the types on the planet. So the generator types are the most common type on the planet. First and foremost, generators are here to work. If you are a generator, you're here to work. But you're here to find the work you love, not just do any old job. You can fake your way through any old job, and I would say that a vast majority of generators are faking their way through just doing what they got to do, their job to get by. The truth is, though, when you are a generator type and you find the work you love, it unleashes in you a phenomenal amount of life force energy that gives you a zest and a vitality and a sustainable quality to your energy that makes you want to go to work all the time. In fact, generators who love their work hate the weekends because why would you take time off when you could be working, doing the thing you love, right? Now, the thing that's very interesting, pardon me?
This would be like a workaholic then, the person who loves working all the time.
We call it workaholism sometimes, and I would say certainly if you're working towards some purpose that perhaps isn't the fulfillment of your potential and you're obsessed or you can't balance it out properly, then that may be workaholism. But truly, the generator who loves their work really genuinely loves working. That's their passion. It's their life force gets unleashed in that process. The thing that gets tricky with the generator types is that the right work, the right opportunities comes to them and they respond to it. Meaning if you're a generator type, everything unfolds in your life in your outer reality. In metaphysics or sometimes in spirituality, we talk about looking for signs or we wait for signs, right? Truly, the generator type is the type that gets direction in life from signs, from their outer reality. So let's say if you're a generator, you want to go on a vacation, you can come up with an idea in your head. And what we learn in human design is 99.9% of the stuff that we get in our head is not actually inspiration we should be following, although most of us are trained to use our heads, right? We tell people, use your head, right? If you really look at what goes on energetically in the head, you really don't want to be making your decisions up there. It's a crazy place up there. There's a lot of stuff up there. So there's a natural order to the universe, and it unfolds beautifully in front of us. And if you're a generator type, you let the universe show you what the next step is, which means you wait. And you wait to see what shows up. So let's say you want to go on vacation. You get this idea, I'm going to go on vacation. That's just an idea, right? And if you decided, okay, I'm just going to go do it, you get an idea and you start taking action on it, you might find that maybe that wasn't the best idea. Maybe you don't quite have the money for it, or maybe something happens in the process of the vacation, or it becomes a very stressful thing. If you're a generator type, the right way to go on vacation comes through response. So let's say you're a generator and you want to go on vacation and you go to your annual physical, and as you're at your annual physical, your physician looks at you and your physician says, you're burned out. You have adrenal fatigue. You need to take a break. Now, in your outer reality, your physician has given you something to respond to. And you can go, yeah, that's right. You can resonate with what shows up or not. Maybe you're going, no, I don't think that's right. I'm not feeling fatigued, and I don't think I need a vacation. As a generator, there's an internal way of tuning into what's correct for you, and the hint is this, and this is tricky, Kenyette. The hint is you follow what feels good, which, by the way, most of us are not trained to do. In fact, it's hysterical to me that a large part of my coaching practice I spend telling people, do what feels good. It's okay. And they're going, no. But as a generator, you see what shows up, and then you follow the things that feel good. It's that simple, and it's not complicated, but it seems very, very complex when you first learn to do it. I'll give you an example from my real life. When I first learned human design, I decided I was going to teach a workshop, and that's kind of my first impulse. Of course, this is totally an idea that I plucked out of my brain, right? I'm going to teach a workshop on this. So I set up, I rented a room at a hotel. I made flyers. I did a press release. I put flyers all over town. I put the notice in the paper. I went to my workshop on the night of my workshop, and nobody came. It was empty. Crickets came, right? So I thought, well, okay, I didn't do that right. I'm a generator type. I didn't respond to anything. I took this idea out of my head, and I made it happen. And I realized, okay, that was an incorrect way to make this decision. So I waited and waited and waited, and a couple weeks later, a friend of mine said to me, wow, this human design stuff is really amazing, Karen. You should teach a workshop on it. Ding, 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 right? Suddenly I had something show up that I could respond to, and I went, I'm going to do that. So because I like to experiment a lot, I said, okay, I'm going to use the same flyers. Obviously, I'm going to change the date. I'm going to use the same hotel room, and I'm going to do everything exactly the way I did it before, only this time I'm just going to change the dates and go back and try it again. I had 32 people in the room that night.
Wow.
So the only difference was I responded the second time. I let it come to me rather than me go out and pursue it. But the thing is, we're oftentimes as generators, we're afraid if we wait that nothing's going to happen. Trust me, if you're a generator type, something will happen, and it'll happen relatively quickly.
That's wonderful. Okay. So you have to wait for it. That for some reason that makes me think of a conversation I had with another speaker, and he said you don't choose the miracles choose you, and that comes to mind from time to time, and that's what just came to mind when you mentioned that. Okay, well, this is wonderful. Okay, so did you say that these are the generators and the generating? Is that two different types, or is that one type?
Generator types, and there are actually two generator types. They're called generators and manifesting generators.
Okay.
And the difference between the manifesting generators are going to move just a little bit faster initially than the pure generators. And you'll find that the manifesting generators have a little bit of that manifestor quality to their energy. Okay. So they will tend to sometimes move so fast and have that internal creative flow and forget to tell people what they're doing and kind of have to backtrack and make sure other people know what they're doing because they can be like this wave of energy moving through the room.
Okay. All right.
The fourth type is called the projector, and projectors are about 20% of the population. Projectors are by far, I think, a lot of times when I'm a guest on Telesummits, and the listeners on Telesummits are oftentimes people who are, I think, by nature very much drawn to personal growth and development and spirituality. Mm-hmm. And I find that a lot of my listeners are projectors. Projectors have a very unique life purpose. They are here to manage and guide and direct the rest of us. So by nature, they make great coaches, healers, trainers, sometimes even speakers. They're here to help others. Now, here's where it gets interesting for the projector. Projectors, first of all, are also not designed to work. If you are a projector, you do not have the energy to do the Monday through Friday 9 to 5 grind at all. So a projector really needs to use their energy effectively, and unlike the manifestors who can kind of fake their way through working for a while, if you're a projector, I find that a lot of projectors can do a job or work like a traditional generator type until they're about 35 to 40 years old, and around that point in time, if they haven't figured it out, they usually will hit some kind of a wall of burnout. And this can be not just a physical burnout, which it can be sometimes. Sometimes it's really a spiritual, emotional burnout where you literally just go, I can't do this anymore. I can't get out of bed. I can't go face my job. And they think, what's wrong with me? And we tend to, of course, judge people strongly in our culture because we have such a work-based culture. We judge people who can't work or who are struggling to work. But it truly, for the projector, it's because they haven't been using their workforce energy correctly. If you're a projector, you're not here to work. You're here to guide and manage the other people who are here to work. You make great leaders, great managers. Obama is a projector. Bernie Sanders is a projector. So we have the other types are, everybody can be a leader. Everybody can be whatever they're called to do as long as they enter into it correctly. So there's no, projectors should do just job and generators should do just this job. Projectors can do whatever they're called to do, but they have to enter into it correctly. Here's the tricky part if you're a projector. When you're a projector, you look at the world and you instinctively and intuitively know what people need to do to live a better life. Or you instinctively and intuitively know what people need to do to be healthy, strong, powerful, and abundant. Mm-hmm. And as a projector, your tendency is to want to just share this insight with people because it's so painful to watch them flopping around. Mm-hmm. My youngest daughter, who is 6, I have 5 kids. My youngest daughter is 6, and she's my only projector child. And in the car, I have to keep the car windows locked because it's not so bad now, but when she was little, when we'd stop at traffic lights, she would roll down the windows and yell things at people. Like she would yell at people, "Hey, why aren't you wearing a helmet? Don't you know you need to wear a bike helmet? It's not safe to ride your bike without a helmet." Or she would yell at people, "Why are you smoking? Don't you know smoking's bad for you?" You know, this is the natural expression of the projector. They see what people are doing and they immediately want to fix it or correct it because they care, because they love people so deeply. But the thing about the projector is if you're a projector, you are not here to manage and guide everyone. And if you're a projector listening, write that down and underline it. You are not here to manage and guide and direct everyone. You are only here to manage and guide and direct the people who are ready to receive your direction and guidance. If you can remember that one thing and that one thing alone, that'll save you so much energy because you can definitely burn out or get deeply hurt as a projector when you offer up this beautiful wisdom and people don't get it, or people don't hear you, or people take your idea and run with it and go make a ton of money and they never credit you for it, which is sometimes the life path of the projector if they don't know how to make good decisions. Mm-hmm. The decisions that are right for the projector and the people who are here to be guided by the projector find the projector and they invite them, or they recognize them, but most importantly, they invite them. So for projectors, your life decision strategy is about waiting for the right invitations, waiting for the invitations of the people who get you, waiting for the invitations from the people who want to be managed and guided by you. It's the big invitations in life. You don't have to wait for little invitations. You don't have to wait for people to invite you to dinner, or you don't have to wait to be invited to go do your laundry. You can do your day-to-day life, but the big invitations in life like career, love, money, where you live, those kinds of choices need to come to you from invitation. Because for you, your people are waiting for you if you're a projector. You are an incredibly precious being, a precious being who has wisdom that the world needs. And if you are wasting your wisdom on people who are not listening, you will burn out. You deserve, as a projector, to be placed in the right place with people who truly value the preciousness that is you. And the way you find those people is you stop moving. You study and pursue everything that delights you and tickles your fancy and that you are passionate about learning and discovering. And while you're on this journey of discovery and joy and delight and passion, the people who are drawn to the brilliance of who you are, who want your insights, will find you and invite you. And if they don't invite you, do not waste your energy trying to coach them into seeing the benefit of the wisdom that you're trying to force onto them, because it's not worth your effort.
Right.
So definitely, if you're a projector, do not cast your pearls before swine, so to speak.
Well, I think many times you think that you have to convince someone to think a certain way, and that is not the fight that you need to get into. People come to their own self in their perfect timing, and when you try to convince others, then you burn yourself out. You're basically taking away from yourself when you have to convince someone else why you're doing something or what you think. So I think that that's a wonderful point to make. And so what's the last type, the 5th type?
The last type is called the reflector, and they're pretty rare. They're less than 1% of the population. And reflectors have a life path that's about reflecting the health of the community in which they live. So truly, they are kind of barometers or canaries in the coal mine. If they're in a happy community that's stable and loving, they will experience happy, stable, loving energy. If they're in a community that's not functioning well or is not a happy community, they themselves will not feel good. So the reflector has to go through life finding their right place in their right community that they are here to reflect. I think a really good example of a reflector is Michael Jackson was a reflector. And if you think about his life path and certainly the community that he was a part of and what he was, I think, reflecting in his sort of, I think, constant attempt to sort of morph himself into this expression that who he was, he really, I think, was very much saying to us, the industry, the entertainment industry, is a really not highly functioning industry, I think, is probably a good way to put it. Certainly as a Reflector, too, you're not here to work, and if you think you look at his life, he really did not have the sustainable energy to put on that last show and do that last tour. I think that was really kind of what did him in, because he just did not have that sustainable quality of energy. And certainly for reflectors actually need to take at least the full cycle of a moon to make a decision. They need a lot of time to make a decision. So for them to really be correct in the world and for them to really access the full expression of who they are, they need time, and they need to have a community that really embraces their need for time and give them the space to really express the reflection that they really are. They're very unusual and beautiful people.
Yeah. This seems to go just against everything that we've been taught as in society, right? That you go to school and you compete with other people for jobs, and you do kind of the same schedule as everyone else, and you take the kind of the same vacations. And this is showing you that there are different paths for people on this planet, and you're not here to just work or just do a job. This is the path that you are here for, and I absolutely love this that you're sharing today, Karen. Well, Karen, how would someone know their type?
Well, to know their type, you need to submit your birth information, and you can then get your chart and get information. Well, there are a lot of people online that can give you your chart, and I think you, at a certain point, are going to be letting people know how they can get their free chart as part of our process.
Yes. Well, now also I wanted to, you said that we might do a meditation with our listeners today. Is that something that you might we still be able to do?
Absolutely.
Oh, perfect.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get into that meditation right now.
Okay. So I'm going to invite you all for just a minute to create a space in your environment around you. If you're in a place where you can do this, just get up and go close the door if you need to do that. Kind of set everything aside. Put your pen down if you've been taking notes. Just find a nice, soft, quiet, comfortable place to sit, and just allow yourself to relax deeply into your seat. And as you do that, I want you to just feel beneath you the support of the bottom of your chair, the back of your chair holding up your back, the floor beneath your feet, and to just deeply sink into that support. And as you sink in that support, I want you to see in front of you a powerful light being. This light being that's coming in front of you, this is your guide. This is your energy guide who has been with you since you got here. You might not have always heard the guidance of your guide, but every step you've taken, every decision you've made, your guide has been here with you, sometimes whispering in your ear, sometimes helping you feel in your gut whether your choices are correct or not. That infinite wisdom that you brought with you is here and available to you all the time. And just take a moment and just really allow this loving presence of this guide to radiate towards you. This is an energy that knows who you are, that absolutely knows that you are here for a very important purpose, that you are an important and vital piece of the puzzle of the world, and that the most important thing you can do in this lifetime is to fulfill your piece of this puzzle, for you to be the fullest expression of who you really are and who you intended to be when you came here. So really allow that love from your guide to flow into you for a moment. And as you experience that love, I want you to also, for just a moment, remember this. You are designed to be loved and to give love. You are designed to be powerful. You are designed to be infinitely courageous. You are not designed to let fear stop you. You are designed to be decisive and to know exactly what choices you need to make under any circumstance. You are designed to be passionate and emotionally wise and to know how to use your emotions to create in the direction in which you want to create. You are designed to be intuitive and to always be plugged into a place of deep inner wisdom and to know how to make good, solid choices based on your awareness of what is truth for you. You are designed to be physically vital, to have all of the life force energy that you need to do what you came here to do and to fulfill your purpose. You are designed to be beautifully unique. There's no one else like you on this planet, and you have a very important role in life just being who you are. You being you is the greatest gift that you can share with the world, and there is nothing in life that can take you away from that authentic expression of who you are and who the world needs you to be. And because you have this very powerful and unique place that you hold in the world, you are infinitely valuable and precious. There's no one else that can fill this place that you fill. And we are who we are because you are who you are. Just take a moment and sit in that knowingness and that awareness.
Karen, I love that. Thank you so much for that meditation and
You're
for
welcome.
reminding us. Thank you. Well, I know we're coming to the end of the call, and I wanted you to go through the special offer with the listening audience. And for those of you who are on the call, you can either push the special offer button on the page, but if you are listening on the phone and you would like to look this up on the website, it's www.liveyourblisstoday.com/KarenCurry.html, and that's www.liveyourblisstoday.com/KarenCurry.html. And Karen, can you explain to those listeners who'd like to go deeper into the using human design, what's in the special offer?
Absolutely. So, I am really excited about human design, as you probably know, and one of the greatest things that I love to do is wake people up to their design and the power of who they are, and not only just wake them up to it, but also to help your listeners really get a sense of not only who am I, but how do I live who I am in the world in an abundant way. So I went through and I looked at all the different core courses that I teach, and I put together this really delicious and juicy package for your listeners to help them really discover who they are and how to really make that part of their life and their reality in every way. So in this package I put together, Kenya, I put, first of all, the Level 1 Human Design Core course. This is actually a self-study program. It's 6 90-minute lessons. They are videos. They have little musical selections with it too, and some serious study questions that help you go deep, deep into understanding the 5 types, most importantly, understanding your type, not only your type, but also the basics of the human design system and how you actually learn in the world, because everybody learns differently, and there are actually 12 different learning styles. So we go into helping you understand what's your learning style and how do you fully activate that as well. This is one of my foundational programs, and it's a powerful program that not only teaches you about yourself, but it actually teaches you about the people in your life that you love as well, so that you can begin to go out into the world as yourself and to also begin to really, with great love and honor and respect, treat the people in your life the way they need to be treated so that they can begin to, at least in your interactions, begin to live out their intentions as well. So it's an incredible program that helps you realign your work, your relationships, your health, your wellness, and really get you back to a foundational place and a foundational understanding of who you really are. This particular program is actually a $247 program when you do it by yourself, and I'm actually getting ready to teach it live starting next week. So if you join the class this week, you will also not only get the home study piece, but you can also come to the live training as well. So that way you can actually come in and really interact with the group of people who always come to learn with us in this powerful community. But even if you don't make the live program, part of what I've also included, because I think that learning at home on your own is awesome. I think it's really great, particularly if you have a busy life. But there's also that place when you're studying on your own that you want to connect with the community, with your fellow students, and with a live teacher. So I've also included in here the Human Design Forum, which is live weekly support. Once a week, we meet with one of my human design teachers, or sometimes with me. We meet live for an hour. You can bring your chart to class. You can bring charts of your friends to class. You can bring any questions that you have from the program, bring them to the live forum, and we will sit in community and help you get your questions answered, and also help you connect to other people and really, meet up with people who are on this human design journey together. That's a $47 a month value, so that's included as part of the package. The second thing in the package is I've included the Generator and Manifesting Generator course, which is a 2-hour recorded program where we specifically talk about the generator and the manifesting generator types. So that's a $47 value. Then we have the Projector Survival Guide. This is 15 hours of audios and a really powerful workbook. This is actually one of the most popular programs that I have. People love this program. It's actually taught by a projector. And in this program, you go through everything that it means to be a projector and how to really fully activate that place in the world that you have that is all about managing and guiding the rest of us, and how to do it in a way so that you don't burn out, and how to heal your burnout, and how to take care of yourself so that you can be supported in the world as a projector doing what you came here to do. And really, add your part to the puzzle of humanity by helping the rest of us keep from bumping around like crazy people. That is a $75 value program. Then we have the Deconditioning by Design program, and if any of you are familiar with the Emotional Freedom Techniques, which is an energy psychology techniques, in this particular program we married human design and basics in the human design program with the Emotional Freedom Techniques so that you have a powerful tool to help you look at where perhaps have you not been living true to your chart, where perhaps have you been told that it's not okay for you to be who you are, or maybe energetically, if you're empathic or sensitive, you've been sensing that you need to be a different way than you are. This powerful, marrying this with EFT, it makes this a powerful combination that helps you really clear out your energy system and anything that might be keeping you from living true to who you are, and really allows you to step more solidly into the full expression of who you are. And then last but not least, I've included the Soulmates by Design program, which is a 2-hour program that teaches you about how do you enter into the right relationships for you so that your relationships become juicy and honoring and respectful of who you are. And that's also a $47 value. So if you look at all the bonus materials, this is over $800, actually $900 worth of programs. And the cost for the program, and we put the package together, and I think everybody has a coupon. Is that right, Kenyette?
They do, and that is a coupon code, and it's Bliss, BLISS.
So the package itself is $197, which is already a significant discount. And when you use the coupon, though, you get an additional discount of, I think we had talked about $100. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right.
Okay, good.
That was perfect. Thank you so much, Karen, for offering that. It's such a wonderful deal as well. I just think that, the soulmates alone, a lot of people are interested in finding their significant others or just building the best relationships that they already have. I think that is perfect right there, and then just being able to figure out your type and how you can move through. So I love that. And also I wanted to mention, too, for the listeners who are interested in getting their free human design chart as well, you will go to www.humandesignforeveryone.com, and that's where you can get your human design chart. And was there anything else, Karen, before we ended the call, that you want people to know about human design?
I just, I think I always like to end with this, and we've sort of talked about this a little bit, but I think it's always good to go back and review. When you look at humanity and the sum total of humanity, we're like a big, giant puzzle. And I don't know how it is in your guys' house, but, most of my kids are grown, but when my kids were little, puzzles had a very short lifespan. Between the dog, the cats, and the kids, a puzzle maybe lived for about a day, if even. And it wasn't long before somebody would either try to jam pieces in the wrong place or a piece would get chewed up or torn or lost. And when you put a puzzle together and you've got pieces missing or pieces torn or pieces jammed into the wrong place, the beauty of the puzzle is affected by each and every individual piece. We are only as beautiful as the sum total of our pieces. When you assume your place in the puzzle, and I say your place specifically because you are designed to be who you are, and you have a unique place in this puzzle that is humanity. When you are living out the fullest expression of who you are, your fullest expression of your piece in the puzzle, you are adding to the beauty of humanity. And truly, who we are as a group, as a collective, as beings on this planet, who we are is deeply influenced by the role that you play in the expression of who we are. Truly, we are who we are because you are who you are. I encourage you, as the gift that you give to the world, to be the fullest expression of who you really are because we need you, and you're important.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen, for that message, and thank you for sharing with us today. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to share. I really appreciate that.
Well, it was wonderful, and we look forward to having the next call together.
Good. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone in our listening audience for tuning in and getting on the call today. With such busy lives, we can easily get caught up in just living day to day. By tuning in with us each week and getting in a space of learning and transformation, you are making a positive change in your life. And this change is not only helping you, but so many more people through you. We know the information shared on these calls are helping people and the planet, and we thank you for being part of this community. So as always, we invite you to continue listening to each call and joining us next time on Live Your Bliss Today. Take care.